Your time is valuable. Don't waste it on stupid stuff. Oh, man. So I got an email from a lady who's a deep, long-time friend of the show. I've never met her, but I would absolutely consider her my friend. And it's just this long, drawn-out email. It's just sad because she's dealing with something with a family member relative to a settling of an estate. And she's spending time and just countless energy and countless hours on this thing, and she just doesn't need to because she's in a financial position where financially, regardless how the estate settles, it's not going to, literally will make no difference to her. But because it's a family dynamic, I think there's more to the story than just the money thing. I think it's probably more to like, I don't want my sibling to get the better of this deal when he shouldn't have. That'd be basically rewarding incompetence, if not outright worse things than that. And she just has just this long email about how much time she spent on with CPAs. How can I help her with figuring out what the opportunity cost was on because a sibling didn't do this, that, and the other on the estate over the course of basically a decade. And I'm just like, man. So I emailed her back and I copied a thing she said to me, and I said, here's my advice: take the offer you get and move on. Why spend so much? Your time is too valuable to waste on things that are just not beneficial. And it reminds me of examples I've had because I've been in this business of financial planning for a long, long time, and I cannot tell you how many people have spent countless hours trying to figure out their cost basis. I had this guy, and he was in New York. They inherited a municipal bond fund from like 1985, if that makes sense. And this is probably 2012, maybe 2010, 11, 12, something like that. And they inherited a municipal bond fund. So we know the cost basis, because the step-up basis was the date of death of the inheritance. But it's still tax-free, right, in terms of the income, but the what could be a capital gain is not. And because a municipal bond pays every month, and the shares it's a nightmare to figure out the cost basis. It just is. It'll never happened. I mean, you can hire a forensic accountant, you can do all this, but I'll never forget. He's like, I got to figure out. Can you send me statements? Because he wanted us to figure out, so we're not going to figure that out because there's no way we can do that, but you can. He goes, okay, I just need my statements for every time it paid an interest, because if you're reinvesting the interest is buying more shares, and that would increase your cost basis, potentially decrease your cost basis. I said, why? He goes, well, because I want to sell this and reposition something else, and I don't have to pay capital gains if I don't owe any. And I'm like, so you're going to look at every month statement going back to like 1985, and you're going to figure out the reinvestment, how many shares it bought, the price was, and what the price is now upon sale. He goes, well, I'm going to hire a forensic accountant. This is, he didn't say forensic. I'm going to hire an accountant to do that for me. And I said, so you're going to print off every single statement, take it to an accountant, pay some guy, thousands of dollars on all that to avoid paying the IRS, maybe a couple $1,000 extra in capital gain tax. Yeah. And on top of that, he's going to spend countless time putting together the documents in which to take to the accountant to do this. Yeah. And I'm sitting there thinking, it's taking a lot of time, right? He goes, oh, yeah, no, but I don't want to pay the IRS any more than they should get. I'm done paying the IRS. I said, so instead of paying a couple $1,000 extra in taxes, you're going to pay with your time. So, okay. And he was kind of upset. He's like, how do you, he literally could not see my point. He was like, not like yelling at me, but I could tell he's like, dude, you're a financial advisor. You're supposed to be, on my side of here. And this is, like I said, 2010, maybe in 2009. I said, well, my side is, why waste your time on this? 40 hours, man. You only have so many 40 hours ahead of you. This guy's in his 60s, you know what I'm saying? He had grandkids. Why do that to yourself? I've had other people, with sisters. I was living rent free in mom's house, lake house or something like that, and mom dies and leaves it to the two sisters 50-50. One sister wants, says it's not fair that she gets 50% of the proceeds of the lake house and I get 50% when she was living in there rent free, for 5 years. We should come to terms with, reducing her amount and increasing my amount because she's essentially got an inheritance before mom died. And logically, that would completely make sense. But I'm like, okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, kind of like going back to the lady I was first talking about. I'm going to hire somebody. I'm going to talk to somebody. I'm going to prepare a document. I was like, oh, why? Maybe it's just my laziness. I'm just telling you, though, it's when it comes to taxes, money, and financially and family affairs, those three things don't mix, man. And I'll never forget when I first went to AA. So we had moved to Phoenix in 1997, July or August of 97, I can't remember. A couple months previous to that, I was served with papers. I was being civilly sued by a guy when I was working my bar from like 2 to 3 years previous. And what happened was this guy got drunk as a skunk. He and his boys, they're drinking, and they went outside. They left like $150 tab on the table. They didn't pay. And and I was a manager at this point, and one of the bartenders the server said, "Man, they walked out on they stiffed me $150." And I remember I said, "Well, how long ago did they leave?" They said like 2 minutes ago. So we went out back, and sure enough, they're all sitting there smoking joke in the parking lot. I said, "You guys coming back to pay your bill?" What the hell? Because it's basically getting ready to be closing time anyway. I said, you got to pay your bill, man. You can't just be out here smoking joking because you could easily just walk away. And he got pissed. He was like, "After you," and he like literally came up on me, and I was like, "What the hell?" And then his friend like picked up a cinder block, threw it at me, and then he charged me. This guy, and as he's charged me, and I'm not drunk, I'm sober. This guy's drunk, so he's not moving as fast as he think he is. And I was pretty big back then, strong. So I'm sober, I'm pretty agile, and I'm carrying some muscle. And as he's coming at me, I just popped him. Pretty easy to do. I mean, it's just friggin', and it hurt him. It knocked him back, and he was in, he quickly recognized that he bit off more than he can chew because he was drunk, man. I mean, if we were sober, I don't know, it might have been a fair fight. I don't know, but this thing about being drunk is you're an idiot. Anyway, long story short, so they all run out, they all leave. And he's like on the ground. He gets up. He goes, "I'm gonna get you," and runs away. And I was like, either way, we're stuck with a $150 tab. Still ticks me off to this day. Anyway, so he goes up. He talks to the magistrate. They took a picture of him because his face was, I mean, I hit him, man, right smack dab in the face, and he was coming at me, and force versus force, and and they took a picture of me, of him. The cops came down. They said I assaulted this guy. They arrested me. Then they let me go because they say, all right, well, this guy was drunk and stupid. And I guess clearer heads prevailed at the magistrate's office. And I said, all right, I didn't know. What am I supposed to do, man? The guy's coming at me, threw his cinder block at me. And so that was gone. Long story short, about a year and a half, 2 years later, this was when he lived in Alexandria, I get served with papers that this guy is suing me civilly. I said, for what? They said for, violating his civil rights. I don't know. I can't remember what it was to this day. I was like, this is freaking insane. Anyway, so I was pissed. I was just pissed. So we moved to Phoenix, and then we're going through we were able to do a talking to an attorney and all this, and I had to fly. I was getting ready to fly back to Virginia for the deposition, all this, and I'm going to AA, and I'll never forget. I'm just pissed in this AA. I'm just so freaking mad. Like I'm literally just. And I'm not drinking. I've quit drinking probably 3 months before that. I'll never forget this kind of tallish, wiry guy, white guy, very leathery skin. Just, he probably worked on, construction crew with Mexicans and Latin American immigrants putting roofs on buildings and stuff in Phoenix, because he was just dark, just dark, leathery, older man, and he looked like he'd been through hellish times in his past. Most of it self-inflicted, no doubt. Because I'll never forget it. He said, what are you doing? I said, what? Don't you see? I'm pissed. He goes, yeah, but I get it. But who's losing the battle here? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, dude, you're totally letting this guy control your feelings. You don't have to be pissed. You still got to deal with the issue at hand, but being mad and walking through like, brr, doesn't do you any good. Doesn't help your relationship with your spouse. Doesn't help with anybody. You're hurting yourself. You're not hurting him. He's actually got his mitts in you. He's controlling you from 2,500 miles away. That's what we talk about. This guy's wrong. He goes, okay. So he's wrong. He's wronging you, and now you're going to live mad because you got wronged by this guy? Why do that to yourself? Basically, why waste your time focusing on what's happened to you? Why not focus on the good stuff? And smile and recognize there's nothing you can do about it anyway. Just do the best and see how things shake out and move on. But why let this affect you in such a negative way? He's controlling you. You control yourself, and that's what they say in AA. Allow me to control the things I can. In fact, let's see what the AA. And right here, the short iteration of the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can internally, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, so I can change internally. I can change if I react negatively. I can change if I waste my time trying to get a couple extra bucks. I can change how I respond to various situations that are happening to me. If I want to be happy, though, it's in me right here. This is what controls my happiness, not outside forces. It's me. And just going back to this email that this woman sent to me, I was like, man, the hours, the agony, the frustration, just to make sure things get right and the settling of the estate. It's a lot of wasted time, man. It's a lot of wasted time. You can do better with your time than that. Just think, every hour you're using on that kind of crap this goes same with everything. If you're addicted to pornography, if you're addicted to drinking, if you're addicted to Facebook, everything. If you're addicted to, I don't know, reality TV shows, it's all a distraction. I'm deliberately distracting you so you don't focus on the real thing, which is getting your mind, with God, your mind right with God. Look, I'm guilty as charged. But your time is valuable. Don't waste it on stuff you can't control. It's going to work out or it won't. Really, whatever the plan is. And that doesn't mean you say, oh, I'm just going to, yeah, I mean, we're not Pollyannish here, but my goodness. Time is too valuable to waste on unimportant things. Especially if you don't, at the end of the day, an extra 20,000 bucks is going to make or break you. No. I mean, it might for some of you, then it's different. But if it doesn't make or break you, who cares? 100,000 bucks. Is it going to make or break you? No. Again, it might. But if it doesn't, Extra 10 bucks is going to make or break you. No. What do you get the satisfaction? Yeah, I made it. I got it good. We're even now. It's kind of, I don't know if you've ever been in a fight. So I used to get in a lot of fights in my drinking days. And it'd come to a point where you had to release and just a punch, you know what I'm saying? And it felt so good for that one moment. Then after that, you're like, dude, I fell for it. You just felt so bad. Yeah, you're like, yeah, I showed him. And then you're like, oh, it's the worst. Imagine how this has got to be like a guy who cheats on his wife. It's like, that felt so good. And then he's like, why did I do that? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I can recall so many times just letting that punch go. You're like, yeah. And then you're like, oh, why did I do that? It's the same thing here. It's like, yeah, I'm going to show my sister that she can't get over on me. Yeah. And you're like, all that time and energy, and no one cares. Yeah. Anyway, don't waste your time. All right, we'll see you.